Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to be looking at a sequel to a puzzle I've done on the channel before. This is called Look and Say Killer 3 by Derektionary. When I read you the rules of this one, it will instantly remind you, if you saw that earlier video, how this works. So, for example, this 14 cage here is not a 14 cage. It's a cage that contains 1 4. So you have to read these clues in a very peculiar way. You have to sort of look and say in order to understand how they work. But I remember the last one was brilliant. This one apparently is also brilliant, and it has a huge rating and only a modest difficulty rating of 2 out of 5. So I'm looking forward to giving it a try in just a moment or two. Before I do that, let me tell you about a couple of things we've got going on. This morning, Mark and I did our first collaborative solve, which is going to go up on Patreon later today, so it will be up by the time this video is live. And what Mark and I did was we attempted this puzzle. Oh, which might not fit on the screen. Oh, hang on. I can't do much about that because I don't want to change the size of my window, but hopefully you can see it's a puzzle. It's got some colours in it. It's called Jabberwocky. It has a lot of rules, but it's a really, really entertaining solve. And we managed to get us both on camera, and we're both talking about our thoughts as we go through it. So we're solving it sort of together. We can each come up with ideas as we see them, and it was actually a lot of fun. So if you fancy watching that, then that's over on Patreon right now. And if you do enjoy it, let us know. Drop a comment on the video, and it's something that we'll continue to do as time goes on. Now, the other thing we've got going on is on Saturday night, Mark and I are going to be doing some more streaming. We're going to be continuing our playthrough of our new free app. So this is a free app available on all the normal platforms. It's 23 puzzles worth of free app to celebrate reaching 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you want to get that app, we're still getting emails from some people who are struggling to find it. It's very easy. Just type in Cracking the Cryptic into your app provider, whether it's App Store or Steam or Android. You'll find an app there. It's free. Download it, and when you've downloaded it, when you start to play it, you can select the 500,000 subscriber special pack there. Again, that's free, and you can just play the puzzles, and I definitely commend them to you. They're by the good of the Sudoku community, and you'll get an awful lot of hours of pleasure out of them. But anyway, Saturday night, 10 o'clock UK time, we'd love to have your company if that's your bag. Now, let's get on with Look and Say Killer number 3, and I'll read you the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Diagonals and cages are not standard. Digits may repeat in cages and along indicated diagonals. The numbers should be read as a look and say number. Each number says which digits are in the respective cage or on the respective diagonal. For example, if a cage clue is 1221, this means there is 1 2 and 2 1s in the cage. You would sort of split it in half. So the first 2 digits would be read as 1 2, and the second 2 digits, or digits 3 and 4, would be read as 2 1s. If a diagonal says 3 3, I was just seeing if we had any of those. We don't. Then that means there are 3 3s along the diagonal. So let's just pause there and take a quick look at this grid and see if we can instantly detect some things that might be interesting. So 27 here is not 27. It's telling us there are 2 7s on that diagonal. 3 8s here is saying that there are 3 8s along that string of digits. And in cages, that 12 cage is not a 12 cage. It's saying there is 1 digit 2 in that cage. So it's really peculiar, and I'm sure it's going to play with my head, because instantly, if I was solving this normally, I'd be focusing on these 16 cages and noting the puzzle was broken, because each of these would have to be just contain the digits 7 and 9. So I'm going to get discombobulated. That's probably going to amuse you guys, but do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And this is going to be a pencil marking fest, isn't it? Because well, literally, unlike normal killer Sudoku clues, every single one of these is giving us something. Like there's 1 4 in that cage, so I might as well just put it in. There's 1 2 in that one, 1 3 in this one. Now, 1 2 in that one. Okay, so the first thing I'm seeing here is we can ask about where 2 goes in row 3 of the grid. Now you can see it can't be in any of those 6 cells anymore, so it has to be in one of those 3 cells. I don't know why I'm looking at this. Oh, I was about to say I don't know why I'm looking at this 26 cage and thinking about it in the context of the number 26, but what I can tell you is that there are 2 6s in this cage, and therefore they must be offset. Otherwise, you can't put a 6 here, or you couldn't put a second 6 in. So actually, I've got some digits now, which is unexpected. Why am I trying to do so? Oh, there's a 1 in here. Oh, look, some 1s. Yeah, okay, there's a 1 in that 11 cage. There's not a 1 there, therefore, so there's a 1 in that 11 cage, which we can place. There's a 2 in one of those cells. There's a 4 in one of these cells. Okay, so where does 4 go in row 6 now? You can see we're going to get all these sorts of alignments, and we've got to keep an eye on them. 1 7 in this column, 1 5 in this column, 1 4 here. Again, I'm seeing the 4s are aligning, so we can ask where 4 goes in this column. It'll have to go up here. There's 1 6 in these cells, 1 6 in these cells, so that's not a 6 anymore. This is a 6, and there's got to be a there's got to be a 6 in one of 2 places, because I've got a 6 up here already. And there's 1 2 here. Again, the 2s are aligning, and that's asking. So now we can ask where 2 goes in this column. Look. Now, because it can't go in these 6 cells, and in this box at the top, it must be in one of those 4 cells. Well, given we need a 2 somewhere in column 7, it's got to be in one of these 3, and the only cell that's overlapping in those 2 regards is that cell. So this is a 2, this is a 2, and that felt like a modicum of progress. So, right, I now think, people will correct me if I'm wrong, I now think I've pencil marked all of the... No, I haven't. There's a 3 in there. Hang on. I haven't pencil marked all the cages at all. And that 3 is allowing me to place a 3 here, which doesn't quite tell me where 4 goes. But I was thinking now I should probably look at these diagonals, because, oh no, I was about to get excited about the 1 5 here and think it overlapped here, but that's not necessarily true, is it? Because the 5 could be up there, absolutely. Now, 2 7s here is moderately interesting, because as we come down this diagonal, we only visit 2 different boxes of the Sudoku. We only visit this box and this box. So there must therefore be a 7 in one of those cells, and there must be a 7 in one of those cells, because otherwise we will necessarily repeat 7 in a box. Now that's not very helpful. There is 1 4 hidden somewhere along that diagonal. Oh, hang on, I just had another thought. That's rather pretty, actually. Let me do some highlighting. I could probably have done this with a bit more aplomb, but I didn't spot it. So I now want to try and look at this 3 7 clue and this 2 7 clue together, because that means on these 2 diagonals, it's actually very pretty, this, isn't it? On these 2 diagonals, there are 5 7s altogether. But again, if we count the boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are only 5 boxes involved in these 2 diagonals. So to not repeat a 7 in a box, I'm going to have to divide the 7s equally between all 5 boxes. So there must now be a 7 in one of those 2 cells. There must be a 7 in one of these 2 cells. And this is not a 7, because that would be a second 7 in box 8, because we know one of those 3 cells is a 7. So there's got to be a 7 in one of those cells. Now, what does that mean? I'm looking for other 7 clues. I'm not seeing any, so I don't think I can do much with that. Oh, that's very annoying. Right, let's get rid of the green colouring then, and continue to work our way around the diagonal. So we've got 2 3s on this diagonal, But that's a very long diagonal, unless there's something I'm not appreciating about that diagonal. I have no idea how to use that clue. 3/8 along this diagonal is... Well, that's the most surprising diagonal so far, because actually this diagonal visits an absolute plethora of boxes, doesn't it? It visits 5 boxes, so I can't actually say anything about where those 8s go, even though it's sort of quite a busy clue. Oh, hang on, here's a clue. 1, 2 on this diagonal. Well, that seems to only be able to go here now. Yeah, okay, I see how I could have got that more quickly. Because once I got these 2s, if I'd thought to look at this clue, I would have been in clover, but I didn't. Okay, here's something. 2 4s on this diagonal. So again, this diagonal is only visiting 2 boxes, so each box must have a 4 in it, and that one seems to only be able to go there. And this is big, because now the 4 here seems to have to go exactly there, taking the pencil-marked position of a 1. So not only do I get the 4, I also get the 1. The world's most useless 1. I don't see what that's doing, really. Is that somehow no, that's not a... This 14 clue has nothing to do with 1s. Well, that was nearly exciting. Okay, let's try this one. 2 4s on this diagonal. And this diagonal visits 3 boxes. So we need to be able to eliminate a 4 from one of these boxes for this to be helpful. I don't see how to do that. Alright, let's try this clue instead. We've got 2 5s and 1 5, so... okay, yeah, here we go. So again, if we consider those 2 clues together, look, we need to put 3 5s into the red cells. Yeah, I'm going to get this digit, aren't I? And we're only visiting 3 different boxes, so to not repeat a 5 in a box, we must put a 5 in every different box, in every different box that the diagonals visit, and the only cell that's in box 9 that's visited by the diagonals is that one. So, and that's actually taken care, look, of this bottom diagonal altogether. So now I've got to put a 5 in one of these and one of these, and we can get rid of the 5s in those 2 cells, and now probably get rid of the red altogether. So this 5 is useful because it gives me the 5 in the 15 cage. Forgive me for calling it a 15 cage. Oh, I see. So now that gets rid of the 5 from here and plonks a 5 into there. It doesn't do anything. Oh no, maybe I'm maligning it. I am maligning it unfairly. Now this 15 diagonal over here suddenly comes into its own, because I don't seem to be able to put 5s on any of those cells. So that becomes a 5, which plonks the 5 in box 6 into this cell. It's really very intricately done, isn't it? It's put together very, very cleverly. But I'm very conscious of how easy it would be to miss a deduction or 2 here, because I seem to have an absolute multitude of these corner pencil marks. And yet, what do I do with... So I wonder whether it's worth... Oh, hang on, I've got a 7 in one of those. So that's... Yeah, hang on, here's something. So I've got a 7 looking upwards here at that cell, but if I go further up, this can't be a 7. And if that can't be a 7, I seem to have to put a 7 here, which I'm very happy to do, which plonks a 7 here. Yeah, oh, this is lovely now. This 37 clue, now that can't be a 7, so that's got to be a 7, which means there's a 7 over here. This can no longer be a 7. 7's only in 2 places in box 2. And the 4 here, in the 14 cage, or the 1-4 cage, you know what I mean, has shifted across to column 5, thereby removing 4 from this cell and placing 4 in box 8. And that does diddly squat, probably. Does it do diddly squat, or am I maligning that 4 unfairly? If I could get rid of 4 from there, I'd have a 4-7 pair in that box. Why is this not a 4? I have no idea. Got the 2-4 clue up here. Is that now restricted in a way it wasn't before? 4. Hang on, I'm just going to highlight this diagonal. That's what I'm going to do. Right, so let's highlight the diagonal. Where can 4 go on this diagonal? It can't. It can go here. It can go right in the middle of the grid. Or it's got more options than that. It can go there or there, I think. So, if we... That's not very helpful, is it? 4 is marginally restricted. Is that worth doing? Pencil marking into 3 different positions? I have done that in the puzzle so far, so I will do that here. No, okay. So what on earth do we do now? We could... 7. Right, hang on. Forget my yellow digits for a moment. I've got 7 seems to be aligning in these boxes now. That's quite cool. So I can ask where 7 goes in row 7, and it's got to go there. It seems to be the only place it can be. Which might be important, he says, grasping at straws. 7. I don't know where. I don't know what to look at. 7, 7. No, one of these two is a 7. I already knew that. I need some way, don't I, of keeping track of the clues I've used. That's what I feel I'm completely in the dark about. Maybe I'm going to change my idea. I'm actually going to highlight. And I'm going to highlight in yellow clues I've definitely used. So that one's used. That 4 is used. The 16 clue is used. I've sort of used this. I mean, I haven't placed it, but I'm not going to get much more out of it. I've pencil marked it, so I'm happy to say I've used that. There's a 2 down there. I've used that. There's a 2 here. I've used that. There's a 1 here. There's a 4 pencil marked into a lot. That's a lot of 4s pencil marked into this. 4 felt like my most restricted digit. So perhaps we can do... Well, I don't know. I seem to have used that clue anyway. I'm not going to have a very good way of marking the diagonals. This is where this is going to come unstuck. I've used that 12 clue. I've used that 12 clue. I've used that 3 clue. I've used the 26 clue. I've pencil marked in the 14 clue. The 4 is vertical. I've got a 3 horizontal here now. Right, so I can get a pencil mark up there on 3s. I can't see it aligning further down the column though. That's a shame. That was almost quite exciting. But I've now certainly used that clue. So now if I look at this grid, everything is yellowified. So I now know I can unyellowify everything, knowing that all of the killer cages I've at least tried to use. So let's now check the diagonals. Now, 1, 5 on this diagonal. Oh, I wonder for a moment about negative constraints. Like, because there's a 5 here, I could eliminate 5s from those cells, but you can see that I couldn't have put 5s in those anyway. So this clue is used, so I will make that yellow. 2 7s. Now this is not quite, well, I've pencil marked, so I have to say it's used. Okay, that's used. 1 4. Oh, hang on, I've not looked at this one. 1 4 on this diagonal. Oh, that can't. Oh, this is it. This is the clue. Right. Okay. Do I leave the yellow in? I'm not going to. I'm not going to leave the yellow in because I've only just started yellowifying the diagonals, and this 4 looks interesting because where does it go on this diagonal? It's got to go there, I think. I'm just going to double check that. Yeah, it can't go anywhere else. So there is a 4 here all of a sudden. Now, why is there a pencil marked 4 here? Oh, I know why. It's because of that diagonal. Because that's where I was putting the... Oh, goodness me. Hang on. I'm going to go back to my green diagonal. Now, that can't be a 4 now. That can't be a 4 now. So 4... Hang on. Let's double-click the 4s. What can we do with this? I've got to put 2 4s on the green diagonal. And other than that, I've got 4s here and here. I haven't actually got that many 4s. I've only... Oh, no. Well, I tell you what I can do, which is actually very pretty. And that is I can write 4 in there. Again, I've been trying to do this in the last few videos, and some people have said it's a good idea, so I'm going to continue with it for a little bit longer. Can you see why this is a 4? If you can't, pause the video. If you can, congratulations. The reason this is a 4 is rather pretty. Look at this green diagonal. Now, I've got 4s in... I know 2 of these 3 possible positions for 4s are true. Now, what would happen if those were the true ones? Well, then I don't think we can put a 4 in box 1. So that doesn't work. And that means, let's unwind that for a moment, that of the 3 positions for 4s on the diagonal, I must put a 4 here. Which means, and that could be massive, actually. Because now that gets me a 4 here, which also gets me a 7 here. Which actually removes a 4 from there, which means that on this diagonal, and bear in mind there's something going on with 7s down here, but on this diagonal now there's only 2 positions for 4s, and we must have a 4 in both of them. That removes a 4 from up. This is beautiful. That's a 4, that's a 3, that's a 5 by Sudoku. That's no longer a 5. There's a 5 in one of these 2. We might be able to do better than that. I sort of feel like... No, maybe we can't actually. Right, 4s now. Let's double check 4. Yeah, there are 4 4s looking at box 3. So that's a 4. And now I've done all the 4s. And instead of 4s, I wanted to think about 7 down here. I'm just wondering whether there's anything better I can do. There's going to be some Sudoku I can do with 3s or 5s. I can't see what it is. Let's do the Sudoku I've seen with the 7. The 7 must go here by pencil marking. So that makes me have a 7 here. I've now got lots of 7s in the grid, which means that's not a 7, which gives me a 7 here. And that gives me a 5 by pencil marking and a 5 here. And that means this is a 5 by pencil marking. Good grief. It's actually a very interesting puzzle from that perspective. If you have good technique, you will be good at solving this puzzle. I'm not sure what that's saying about me, but it certainly feels like that sort of thing is going to be very important. So now I've got some 3s. I've got... Well, what else have we got? 2 seems to be vertical in this column, looking at a 2 pencil mark there, so that must be a 2. Even when you get something, it doesn't really seem to... what are those cells? 189. It doesn't really seem to open up the world to us, does it? Right, let's check the diagonals then. So now I've used this 1, 4, 3, 7. Have I actually got 3 7s on this? Yes, I do. Okay, that one's used. 2 3s on this diagonal. Ah, that's important, because I clearly can't put a 3 in either of those. And there's only 2 units left. There's box 5 and box 9, so I must put a 3 here. Which means I put a 3 in one of those. It means I put a 3 in one of these by Sudoku. It means I put a 3 in one of these by Sudoku. And what? Oh, this is lovely. Okay, and I've still got to put a second 3 on this diagonal, which now can't be here. So that's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. So that's a 3, using our pencil marks again. That's a 2, using the fact we've got to put 1, 2 in this box. Now, this 3 is putting a 3 here, of course. So now we can get a... Are we getting all the 3s? Is that what's going on? I think it might be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All 3s are now done. We have completed our 3-age. Now 2 in the middle box has become restrained now. I've got to put a 2 in one of these, which seems to be placing 2 here in box 8. Okay, so I'm now up to 6 2s. No, I can still do better. This 2 is in one of those cells, so that's now a 7th 2. And I'm left with an X-wing of 2s in boxes 4 and 5. But that's not too bad. I've got 1, 8 and 9 again down here. So I'm suspicious about this 3 8s clue, because I know I've not used that because I've got no 8s in the grid. And in fact, I've got no 9s in the grid either, so the grid is definitely not resolvable at the moment by reference to Sudoku, because we need a way of differentiating 8s and 9s. So I have used the 1 2 clue, I've used the 2 4 clue, I've used the 2 4 clue here, I've got 2 5s. Right, so it literally is this and or Sudoku. Well, oh no. Okay, I was about to be quite positive about this, but look at this diagonal. There are actually 4 different places for 8s, which is disturbing. Well, we must have an 8 in one of those 2 positions, so that can't be an 8, because one of these must be an 8. Oh, in fact, no, that's very pretty. Right, so let me explain. I was thinking about one of these 2 being an 8, and that's definitely necessary. And this cell sees both of these cells, so this now can't be an 8. But we can do better than that. Because what would happen if this was not an 8? Well, then we know this is an 8, because we need 3 8s on this diagonal, and then you can't put an 8 at all in this box. So that is always an 8, which means that is not, which means I've got a 1 9 pair in this row, which means that cell's a 1 or a 9 by Sudoku. This is very interesting as well. So now I've got a 1 9 pair out of nowhere in box 1, which forces this to be an 8. So in fact, these were both 8s at the end of the day, and that's got to be a 6 in the corner. And that means, oh, nearly. Oh, hang on. I'm going to trust my pencil marks here and pause, because I seem to have a 6 in the bottom row of the grid. Why is that there? Oh yeah, because there's a 1 6 clue here, so that can't be a 6, so that is a 6. And now, oh, is this good? Yeah, it's not bad actually. It's really not bad, because now I've suddenly realised I can put 6 into that cell, which means there's a 6 in one of these 2, and I can ask where 6 goes in column 3, and there's only one position left for it, which is here. Which means this cell has become a 1 or a 9. And these cells are from 1 8 9 again. So still, I think something's got to happen on this diagonal still. One of these is an 8, because we need a third 8. Therefore, that cell can't be an 8. Because if it was an 8, you couldn't put an 8 in either of those cells anymore. Which means there's an 8 in the bottom row of the grid. Which means there's an 8 in one of those two cells in box 7. Probably floundering here, aren't I? I feel like I'm sort of trying to, I don't know, trying to do some sort of alchemy, and it's not working. 2, 8, 9. Can I? Oh, I still can't do better than that. I must have used all the clues now. I must have done. So this is from 6, 8, and 9. And that can't be 6. What about this row? This is all 1. This is 1 8s and 9s again. Whoops, 1 8 and 9. That can't be 1. That can't be 1. Is that going to help us to learn the nature of the world? No. Okay. So I might be getting into a total pencil mark fest here. Now, I know there's an 8 down here, so that's a 1 or a 9 in the corner. It could be colouring as well, actually. I could be having to colour my 1s and 9s. That's possible. Or is it going to be something more straightforward than that? I don't know. I'm intrigued to learn how this finishes. That's got to be 1 8 9. What is it? What is it that have I put? I know, right, I know one of these is an 8. Is there some magic that we can work with that? Maybe, but I don't see what it is. Right, let's try instead of that to do... Alright, I can do 1s. I see. Right, because there's a 1 in one of these and a 1 in one of these. Yeah, that's the point. I've got a 1 looking at this cell. It's Sudoku after all that. Of course it's Sudoku, you're all saying to me. Don't be mean. I just get distracted. Now this is an 8 over here. Oh, that's great. So this is not the 8. This is not the third 8 on this diagonal. So that's the third 8 on that diagonal, and therefore you get a 1 here, and therefore that's become a 9. 1 in the corner here, that's 8, so that's 9. That seems to be quite a useful thing. What do I need in that column? 2. That's got to go here. What do I need? I need 9 here, I need 1 here. Therefore that's 8, that cell's 9, that cell's 1. 1 and 9 into these cells. It's a beautiful puzzle, isn't it? And what's very clever about it is that it, even though it's such a strange rule set, and even though it sort of gives you things for free, you still have to think quite carefully about how to use the information you're given to actually make decent progress. Is this correct? Yay! I did it. Derektionary. I really enjoyed it. I hope everyone had a go. Let me know in the comments how you got on. That was very cool. My favourite bit was this green diagonal, and noting that I think it was those two, or was it those two? It was they had some effect on this box that was undesirable. I think it was those two, and that would have ruled out those 3 cells from being a 4. Very pretty indeed. Loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And don't forget to watch Jabberwocky if you're a patron of the channel. You might enjoy that video too.